All right, let's get started on keyframe animation basics. And I have Blender, DaVinci Resolve, After Effects, and Premiere, 4 different programs that basically does the same thing regarding keyframe animation. All right, so to kind of to drive the point, and this applies to Maya, Cinema 4D, Softimage, and if they're still around. I don't think so. 3D S Max or 3D Studio Max for old school. Any animation program actually. This is applied because it's the same principle as classic cell animation keyframing. All right, where you keyframe basically are the major positions in an animation, and the two drawings are those two keyframes. Let's say position A and B, and what gets drawn in between is basically the in-between frames, or what they call tweening. All right, when you use the computer, traditionally you have your senior animator and your junior animator. Your senior animator would be likely be responsible for the major keyframes, and the junior animator gets to work in drawing the in-betweens. All right, so if the master animator or senior animator made, let's say, 20 major keyframes, all right, and then there's, let's say, 5 frames in between, then the junior would draw all those 5 frames in between those keyframes. When it comes to computer, you are the master or senior animator. You only position the major keyframe. So let's say you just want to move this Coke can from this position, all right, to over there. Then that's all you're responsible. Then Blender would fill in the gap, the in between. So Blender is the junior animator. Okay. So of course you can tell by default all animation they have built-in kind of principles of animation, or ease in and ease out. So they're slow to move, then accelerate, then slow to stop down. That's usually most programs' default function curves, right? Or behavior. But let's say you want this mechanical, you want it constant like that. Then you have to go to your graph editor and start changing the behavior of the animation. But we're not going to go there. We're just breaking down what it takes to make a keyframe. All right. A lot of people get confused by this because first, they don't. When people just get started with animation, they get confused that since it's not moving on the first keyframe, they don't keyframe it, thinking, "Hey, it's not going to move. Why should I keyframe it?" Well, you still got a keyframe. You need to tell the computer, "Hey, this guy, this Coke, it's not going anywhere. So keep it there until I tell it to move on the next keyframe." So this 4 steps right here is everything you need per keyframe. Okay. The only caveat here is the keyframe on number 4, because most programs, they have auto keyframe on. As soon as you start keyframing, expect the next keyframe when you're after you do number 3, number 4 is automatically keyed for you, so you don't have to keep clicking keyframe. Okay, if you actually click keyframe, you're actually deleting the keyframe. Keyframes are usually designated as a diamond shape. Okay, so whenever you see a diamond shape, that's usually a keyframe, or in After Effects, that little time watch. All right, so let's get started and then just kind of show you the process right here. Okay, so it says number 1, select the object or media. Why did I put object and media? Object if you're using 3D programs and whatnot. Media if you're using editing program or compositing program. Sometimes you are animating a video or a text. Here it's an object. Okay, so select it. All right, and then position the time. Position the time simply means park the playhead in the timeline, sorry, where you want your animation keyframe to be positioned at. So let's say you want this Coke to start moving on frame 1, then you move that to frame 1. On your next keyframe, you want the Coke to go to the right in, let's say, 100 frames. Then you position the time right there, transform the object, so on and so forth. So that's positioning the time. Transform the object. Transform the object simply means move, rotate, or scale it. If you're not transforming the object, you're probably animating. This can be replaced with, let's say, parameters. So let's say you're animating a blur. So instead of transforming the object like moving it, you will be animating the amount of blur. Okay? And then number 4, you basically hit keyframe to keyframe that animation. All right? So let's put that to practice in Blender in a 3D program. So first is, I want this Coke to move from left to right in about, let's say that 50 frames, okay? 1 to 50 frames, okay? So it's going to travel 50 frames. So how fast is 50 frames? A little bit over 2 seconds if we're animating in 24 frames per second, okay? So let's look at the steps. So first I'm going to select the object. There it is. I got it selected. Why is that important? I've seen a lot of beginner animators, they actually selected something else. All right, and then they do all these things. They ended up butchering a previous animation because they got confused. They thought they were animating an object that they thought they have selected, but they're not sure. So that's very important that you select the object that you want to manipulate. Okay. Of course, later on, you don't need that always selected. If you have graph editor and whatnot, and you got multiple objects selected, you could see all those keyframes. You'll know what you're doing because you can filter that. All right. So there it is selected. Then position the time. So I'm going to position the time. So we're going to create 2 keyframes. Okay, so this is the first keyframe. I'm going to position the time. I want this to start on frame 1 right there. Okay, and it says transform the object. All right, so I want it to start on this side of the screen right here. All right, right there, so that it's outside my camera frame. Okay. And then number 4, keyframe, okay, if applicable on second, but this is the first keyframe, so yeah, definitely, right? So we have several ways to do that in Blender. We can press I and then say location keyframe, okay? But we'll give you static keyframes. I'm only animating along the x-axis here, so I don't want to do that. It won't matter really. It just bogs the system later on when you have so many of them. I'm going to press N here on my sidebar, and since this is the one I'm actually manipulating, the X, this is what I want to keyframe. So to keyframe this in Blender, you right-click it and you say Insert Single Keyframe. Be designated by this yellowish highlight, and you got it keyframe right there. Okay, there you go. It didn't do anything. If I press the space bar to play this, nothing happens because we just told this Coke can, hey, stay there. We're going to lock you in until the next keyframe. So next keyframe, number 1, select the object. It's still selected. Okay, if you unselect it, then select it. All right, next, position the time. We did say we want it to appear right here in the center at about 50 frames. So I'm going to move my time to 50 frames. Number 3, transform the object. So I can transform it here or grab that red X right there. So I'm just going to do it here until it's centered here in the camera. And number 4, we didn't set it to auto keyframe. You could in Blender, but we didn't set it to. So I'm going to right click here, do the same thing again, insert single keyframe, and voila, that's the animation. We got 2 keys right here. And of course I can select those keys and then press G to move them, and I could retime this, but that's not what this lesson is. It's just to create those animation. Okay, all right, so if we rewind this, there you go, there's the animation. It moved from left to right or whatever it is you want, right? We have transform tools, location or position, rotation, and then scale. Rotation is rotating, of course. Scaling is resizing. Now let's go to the next in line here would be DaVinci Resolve. Does that work? Yes, of course, right? So let's select our first one is select the object, right? So I'm going to select the object right there. Number 2, it says position the time. We want it at the very beginning, right there. Okay. Number 3, transform the object. All right, so I do want it just to stay here, and I just want it to go up later. So I don't want to transform it. I already did. I want it to be here, okay? And then last one is keyframe it. So this is in DaVinci Resolve. So I'm going to while the object is selected, I'm going to my video right here, and you see transform. It says position, okay? And then I do want to animate this going up and down, so that would be the y-axis right here. All right. So, but I'm keyframing the position right here. And there's that diamond. So if I click this diamond right there, that's keyframe already. Okay. Next, we start over. Select the object you want. Right there. Position the time. So we want it to move 2 seconds, right? So right here, 1 second, 2 seconds, kind of similar to the 50 frames. Okay, 2 seconds right there. Third step, transform your object. Okay, so I want to transform it. I'm going to click and drag this. I'm going to move it up there. Number 4, keyframe. I don't need to, it's auto keyframe. It's automatic right there. So if I move my position right here, there it is. I mean my playhead, I'm sorry. There it is, it's already keyframe. Okay, and you get to see those chevron or those arrow left and right to make you quickly jump to a keyframe, so which is great, so that let's say I want to do the exact same timing with my rotation, I can just simply select that and then it'll park the playhead where that one is. If you accidentally click that red diamond right now, it just deletes the keyframe and you have to click undo or re-keyframe it. Okay, so that's the same thing. All right, so let's go back to Blender. Okay, so this Coke can did that. All right, so let's do another one. So this time we're going to do rotation. Okay, so select the object. Got it selected. Next, position the time for your first keyframe. I want it to start rotating, not at the beginning, only on, let's say, frame 30. I want it to start rotating, meaning there's no rotation. It will start at frame 30. This is where a lot of animators that are just starting get confused because they're thinking, okay, how come it's not, they start rotating it here. They start transforming it. No, I want it to start rotating at frame 30 to 50. Okay, so position the time I did. Number 3, transform the object. So that would be rotation along the y-axis because that's the one I want to do. Kind of like really bad animation of pouring Coke right there. All right. So that would be this one. But I want it to start rotating on 30. So there shouldn't be any degree here. It should be 0. So I'm going to right click, insert keyframe, insert single keyframe, sorry. And then that's it. So basically, I just told Blender, hey, don't do anything from 0 to 30. From 30 going forward, do something, which is the next keyframe. So let's go back to number 1. Select the object. There it is. It's still selected. Position the time. I want this to rotate same time as when it goes in here at 50. All right. So I position the time. Next, transform the object. Okay. Now I want to rotate it going like this. All right, let's say 50 degrees. No reason, just 50 right there. And then right click number 4 to keyframe it. So now when we watch this animation, it doesn't start rotating until it gets to 30, then it starts doing that. All right, excellent. So let's do that in After Effects. So there's rotation. All right, we have rotation right there. So we're going to select it. So in After Effects, you're going to be spending your career in After Effects. You're going to be in this transform right here, but I would say 80% of your time, your career will be on these things. Okay, they don't go away. So rotation, I'm going to open the transform right there. There's a right chevron, right arrow, all right? And then where's our rotation? There it is. And there's the keyframing for it. It's that little stopwatch. So same thing, all right? So let's go with rotation. So first select the object. Done. Got it selected right there. Next, position the time. So I'm going to go, let's say, 3 seconds right there. 3 seconds. Okay? 3 seconds. All right? And then transform the object. All right. I don't want any rotation. I want it to start rotating on number 3. So I'm just going to leave it with no rotation. Number 4, you got to keyframe. Even though you didn't rotate it, you got to keyframe it. So I'm going to keyframe it right there. Okay, and that's done. That's 1 through 4. Next, keyframe. I want to rotate it. Okay, so the pivot point's right here. So it's going to rotate as if it's like a scissor, right? It's not going to be rotating in the center because you got to change the pivot point or the anchor point. All right, so I got the object still selected. Position the time. So I wanted to rotate, let's say 8 seconds, right? From 3 to 8 seconds. And there's that little diamond designation of my keyframe before, right? And then number 3, transform your object. So now I want to rotate this. I want to give it some degrees. Okay. All right, I just want to kind of go upside down like that. And number 4, do you need to do anything? No. Same thing with DaVinci, After Effects, like Premiere, it's auto keyframe. So you don't have to do number 4 after the initial keyframe of the very first keyframe. So let's just preview and watch this, and that's it. So if I tap the space bar, really cheesy, that thing rotates from 3 seconds starting all the way to 8 seconds. All right, so we're still doing all 4 steps. So let's go back to Blender. Okay, so we're gonna do scale now. All right, so I'm gonna go back here. So select the object you want. Okay, got it selected. And now I position the time. I want this to start the very beginning. Right there. Okay, and then transform the object. I want to scale it. I want it to start growing at the beginning. So that means no growing. Okay, I want it to start right here. So this should be at 1. By the way, it's not 0. If you scale at 0, it means it disappears. It's nothing, all right? So we want it the same size. So in Blender, in order to keyframe all this, all you have to do is select all of them, click drag, then you can right-click. You can lock it, actually. You can, but we're just going to do what's going to be obvious. Let's see on the look. You can't see that one. All right, there you go. So let's do X. Okay, so we'll go right here, right click it, insert single keyframe. All right, and then we start over 1 again. Select the object. All right, position the time. So I want this to look weird on frame 60. All right, that's number 2. Position the time. Now transform the object. So let's scale this on right there. Make it like that. Okay, and then number 4, keyframe it. There we go. So now let's watch. All right, horrible. Anyway, you get the point. So let's do select the object, position the time, transform, keyframe now in Premiere. All right, in Premiere, select the object or media. All right, so we have this one right here. All right, so we have the Coke thumbnail that I made. Okay, so we do want to look at this around 75%, so we get to see the outside. Okay, so select the object or media. There it is. Number 2, position the time. All right, we want to start at the beginning. Okay, so make sure you're at home. You can press home on your keyboard. All right, right there at the beginning. Number 3, transform the object. Where's transform object? In Premiere, you can see that in the effects tab. All right, let's open that up. And not the effects tab. What am I looking at? Effects control, not effects tab. All right, go to motion, and then we have our position, rotation, and scale. All right, so we want to scale this one. Position from the top. So we want it to drop. So we want the initial position right here. Okay, I'm going to double click it so you can see the outline. So we want it outside like so. Okay, and then we want to number 4, keyframe it. All right, so at the very beginning we want it outside up here. Okay, and now we want to start over again, 1 through 4. Select the object. It's still selected. Okay, right there. Okay, it's still selected. Go back to my effects control. And then number 2, position the time. So we want it to show about 4 seconds in. Good enough, right there. Okay. And number 3, transform the object. So this is the y-axis right here. So this is what's going to reveal it. Right there. 540 actually. Okay, and then number 4, keyframe it, but you don't need to because it's automatically keyframe for you. Okay, and you can see the chevron right here. I mean the arrow. You can go to the first keyframe or second keyframe. So now let's watch the animation. Play. There it is. Exact same thing. All 4 steps. Okay, same thing with this one. Okay, so we're, select the object, position the time. We want to start at the beginning, very beginning of the clip. Right here. Okay. Right there. Okay. And then number 3, transform the object. Yes, we want to scale this to nothing. So it shows up like that. All right. So we're going to put 0 on the scale. Number 4, keyframe it. Okay. Next, second keyframe. Select the object you want. There you go. It's selected. Position the time. We want this to grow from 5 seconds to, let's say, 7 seconds. 2 seconds, right? 2 seconds worth of animation. All right. So that's our position time. Number 3 is to transform the object. All right. Let's scale this back to 100. You can type in just 100. Number 4, keyframe. We don't have to because it automatically keyframes. And let's take a look. All right, there it is. Going back to Blender, since that's 4 programs where we animated the exact same thing. So this is all you have to do. And remember, these 4 things right here. Select the object, position the time, transform the object, then keyframe. That's it, over and over for each keyframe, except some programs, they don't require you to do number 4 after the first keyframe. Okay, and that's basic keyframing on programs. And this is not a lesson on how to make a good animation or, you know, change your function curve or anything. It's just keyframing. All right, and I hope that helps you in understanding what basic keyframing is.